Hey, what's up, guys? So, yeah, very random, different video. Let's talk about God, religion. So, growing up, religion was important in our household, and it was Islam for us. So, yada yada yada, like the usual pray 5 times a day. This 1 month we have to fast, not eat or drink from sunset or sunrise to sunset. At first, I had no emotion, or I didn't really care. I was like a good boy, still like praying almost 5 times a day. Sometimes didn't care if I missed from elementary to halfway finishing my undergrad. And then now, like this past couple months, actually almost like a year ago, a younger sibling of mine who was an atheist told me many great stories of history. And history always interests me as long as it's interesting and good. And believe me, there's so many like interesting supernatural stuff that happened, and I got more into it as I got older. Like right now, like a specific thing was like Abraham was involved with King Nimrod. King Nimrod was a tyrannical leader or a pharaoh during the Babylonian, I can't pronounce it, Babylon Empire, I think at that time. And I remember learning King Nimrod in middle school and just knowing that someone like Abraham or Ibrahim alayhi salam came in contact with them just made me want to learn more. And then I got obsessed with history. So that's just how it started. Now let me show you what I looked up on ChatGPT. This was my prompt. Out of all the religions, which religion is the hardest working, most time consuming, most physically demanding? And basically, I just wanted to learn which religion was the hardest. So for my ChatGPT, it said Islam, but I think this is like not a genuine answer because I always like as soon as I wanted to learn about history, I would just ask ChatGPT, tell me about the history of this. I was just learning through chat a lot. So of course I think you'll have Islam as first and then Judaism, Hinduism, Buddhism, and Christianity. So now I typed the same question on Google and this is what it came up. So yeah, let's go through from top to bottom. So Jainism. At first, I thought this was a Jewish religion, but it's not. It's a Indian religion. See, I forgot they're gonna when I ask this question, they're gonna include many other religions out there that are more like niche and not well known. I want to stick to like more of the mainstream ones, which is like what you saw in the thumbnail: Christianity, Judaism, Islam, and not anime. I was just trolling on that. So yeah, for sure we're gonna see some random religion that we're not familiar with, or I'm not familiar with, but we'll still include it like this one since this is like number one. So strict vegetarian diet, avoiding root vegetables like potatoes. That's hard, and not eating after dark, even harder. So yeah. Knowing that this is India, nuns and monks, I know they got extreme lifestyles of just like sitting there meditating, walking barefoot across India. That's crazy. Sleeping on the floor, fasting for a long time. So yeah. So these guys are just literally fasting until they die. All right, let's go to the next one. Okay, so the first one was like most physically and morally demanding. Second one, most time consuming and structurally demanding. So Orthodox Judaism. So I looked up Orthodox. My dumbass had to look it up because I forgot what it meant, and it means like in my own words, like original practice, something traditional or like an old school way of things. However, I don't really count this. This is Orthodox Judaism, not like, Jewish, the modern Jewish. But let's just look through it. Daily rituals, mandatory morning, afternoon, evening prayers, daily scripture that are exceptionally time consuming. So yeah, they do 3 prayers and kosher, keeping a strictly kosher, says kosher diet, separating meat and dairy, Shabbat, and I think I just looked this up. I kind of forgot. I think that's like a spiritual reset or rest, and no use of electronics. What I said before, the reason why I'm not gonna count this as the main religion, because this is Orthodox, and I know like people I used to know in the past that are like not following this, but we'll talk more about this later. Third is Islam. So first mainstream religion on here, if you want to count Orthodox Judaism or not. But yeah, this is like what I said: 5 times daily prayer every day for the rest of your life. And then 1 month is like fasting where you don't eat or drink. But yeah, next. Fourth, Hinduism, another mainstream that I forgot to include in my thumbnail. Daily practices vary. Festivals demand extraordinary physical endurance and pain. Taipasam, I don't know if I said that right. Celebrated by Tamil Hindus, this involves devotes piercing their bodies, tongues, and cheeks, skewers, and hooks. Okay, indoor multi-hour barefoot procession, climbing hundreds of steps while pulling heavily loads of chariot via hooked onto theirs. Okay, I know, like honestly, like I know many Indians in America, UK, anywhere, they don't do this. So yeah, and dang, there's not even Christianity here, and they didn't even bring Judaism, like the modern Judaism. But okay, so let's just talk about the main religions. So first of all, why I'm not counting the Orthodox Judaism is because the electronic thing is like, I know most Jewish people from what I know. Let's just talk about my experience from high school, college, mostly high school. Most of my Jewish friends that I used to know, and like they're not my friends, but I used to know them and they were my friends at that time. They weren't doing that. They weren't like, honestly, knowing their personality, I don't think they would do prayers. But maybe some of them could read scripture. But and then the diet and not eating anything. I just wish Christian and I wish I put like the mainstream religions in the question prompt, but I'm already recording right now, so and I'm too lazy to edit it out. So thus making Islam the first mainstream hardest religion. So I'm not now like with religions, everyone's trying to get people into their religion. And I'm not trying to like influence anything, but I just want to, it's just going to talk about my experience of what I did and how I became more religious as I got older. And honestly, like I'm not going to talk too much cuz I don't know much about Christianity. I'm learning the apostles right now, the 12 apostles from Jesus. But that's all I'm learning. I don't know too much about Christianity and Judaism that well, so I'll only just talk about my experience. So many Christian friends and Jewish friends, like I said, I knew. The only things I know that Christians did, and I even asked like my Christian friends in high school, the closest religious thing they would do, action step, was just go to church on a Sunday. And sometimes they don't even go because they were like, screw church. But I know they said it as a joke. And now, even though I don't talk to them anymore, probably now as an adult. Probably like there's one coworker I reunited. He met his wife at church. So I think now, as like many of my high school friends, I mean we all get mature. All depends on their family, but yeah, going to church on a Sunday is like their religious action they do. And Judaism, I thought it was the same thing, but it's not a weekly synagogue attendance. Judaism like has some daily prayers at home, pray 3 times a day, and attend like communal services. Of course, they have like major holidays like October 7th or 11th, and Sabbath for like religious celebration and resting. Now, let me tell you my story of me with Islam growing up. So, me, like any other kid, Gen Z kid, I didn't care about my religion too, just like none of my Christian friends. We were just living just to live, going to school. I still prayed on the down low. Of course, I wouldn't tell my high school friends because they'll bully me. But mentally, I wasn't there. I was just doing it just to do it, being a good boy. I mean, I'm just a kid. As a kid, I was just living life, video games, sports to the fullest, hating school. But yeah, fast forward, now as an adult, for a couple years ago, 2 years ago, I learned depression really late and I never understood. I was coddled a lot. Parents gave me a goal to focus on. I was still being a good Muslim. Yeah, on learning depression, I started sinning a lot, pornography, masturbation. I've masturbated really late on my age, which is like 2 years ago that I did for the first time. And I'm like 26. I know people that done it like when they were in high school, middle school. So yeah, I did this really late. I remember another like sinning was comparing myself to others, judging others. I actually did this before my adult depression, but it wasn't as bad as it was as an adult because like just society expectations just hit a lot harder. So yeah, I was in full adult mode at that time when comparing with others. I was still in my undergrad mode, which I was still living my life honestly. But yeah, but it got worse as a full-time adult. So I was sinning, felt so much emptiness because of my full-time job. I was just working a lot to a point where I prioritized that more than the things that I enjoy. And binge eating, so gluttony. So of course, naturally, I start feeling ashamed, and I was still the same. I mean, here and there, I would just when I make like a prayer, I would talk a little bit more than I used to. Not something that I just memorized, and I hate memorizing things. I feel like I didn't do it as much because like coming after a full-time job and just forcing yourself to like memorize things when you don't want to memorize it, which is why like when I did full-time job in school, it sucked. After like high school, I would just come back home and just chill. Not I would leave work at work or school at school, but just coming back from work and doing more things, it's just too much for my brain to handle. All of a sudden, when my little sibling went to university, he was an atheist. He wasn't religious at all. He was the one that made me become a better, you know, faith, had better faith in my religion and God. Only because he went to a university and he stayed in a city where it's like a bunch of like cultured people that he met, and that influenced him and he influenced me. He was the one that told me about many histories that I didn't know about, like the history of Adam, Abraham, and I was so interested in that. And that's why I became more religious, just because of learning things. And now I'm starting to trying to memorize more like prayers we have to remember, and like, yeah, prayers for God and what we have to do for our 5 times a day prayer, because I realized there's so many little things I missed on when I thought I was doing it right. But yeah, like I said, I'm learning, still learning. Yeah, he made me become a better, like, now every morning I just go on a walk, first to exercise and second to talk to God. And one time, like, I was praying outside and it felt so surreal. Like, I was getting into meditation before all this because, like I said, I was depressed with my job. I did get some clear-headedness, but just talking to God to a point where you start crying, and believe me, I cried a lot. But now, since I cried a lot, now I'm like used to it. But I'm able to open up so much, which is like hard for me to do with anyone. I can only open up to God at best. And still, I'm not like that level. When someone opens up to God, they start crying and like they start like doing the above and beyond. I'm not on that level yet. But and remember when I said like how me and my high school friends that I not my friends that I used to know, most of us didn't care. But since Islam was like a really big thing, and honestly everyone matures, they start becoming more religious. But like Islam is like the hardest religious according to, like, Google, I guess, mainstream, because 5 times a day, it's a lot compared to other religions like going to church on a Sunday and sure praying 3 times a day, but that's Orthodox Judaism. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of families that just go to church when they feel like it, but when really like you gotta like do actionable steps to God every single day. And Gen Z, I think, I don't know, you could agree with me or not, but Gen Z is the most distracted, most laziest, toxic, judgmental, internet loving, internet toxicity, influencer, business minded, sometimes considerate, but sometimes don't want to do more than we should because this is Generation Z. I'm seeing this in youngins for Muslim kids, and I could feel the toxicness. Actually, it's not, but like they're very cultured because of the internet of things they learn. Like they know Drake and 6ix9ine. Sometimes when I go to like the church, the mosque, they would talk about that. It's like it's funny and like weird. Me as an adult when like kids are talking about this. But yeah, I mean, I was no different. But that was when I was a kid, internet was less, and we're more able to be kids. But now kids are just becoming more internet consumed iPad kids more than ever, and it's, yeah, scary. The thing is, like, Islam, depending on their family, is still there. And of course, I know many people who are Muslim sin, still come back to pray. And I just know there's many of them, even in like family, extended family, where friends, their intention isn't there, but they'll do it to practice. But that's still not good. It's like still like that I don't care mentality that I used to have with high school friends, but some of them is still there. And the fact that like there's just signs that I don't want to talk about where God gave me signs. And sometimes, like, Christian friends also had the same thing, or Christian influencers, God saving them. But regardless of what it is, like as long as you like do actionable steps to God every single day, then that's great. And with Islam, you have to do actionable steps, and because that's all that matters, doing actionable things. Action speaks so much louder than words. And so, yeah, for someone that, like, literally an atheist sibling is the one that made me more religious than ever, which is like funny for someone that still like did the routine, but I wasn't mentally there. I didn't care about God. I mean, like, everyone cares about God, but like, the intention is not strong. Where, like, let's say if I'm living my life, I don't think about God a lot, like, especially in social settings, which I'm trying to fix. It's so hard to think about God because I'm too present thinking about my own life, going to work, blah, 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 eating food, video games, exercising. It's really hard to think about God all the time. But now it's like, yeah, more than ever. And there's like a bunch of hard tests that I go through. And I believe that, like, yeah, evil, stress, pain is involved in this world. But these are all tests to see if I'll still pray or not. And like God knows what emotions I'm gonna feel, how lazy, how tired, how mad I'm gonna be because I don't feel like doing it. But as long as I put in the action, and thank God I'm strong enough to do it sometimes. Like at worst, like if I'm having such a bad day, I'll just still do the prayer, but like I would usually talk. I would just wrap up the talking so much faster just so I could, play video games or go to sleep. But yeah, that's what's really cool about Islam. They make you, it's the most actionable thing for most religion and most demanding. You may be a Christian, you may be a Judaism, could be even be a Buddhist or an atheist, but whatever it is, it just gives you an extra purpose in life, and it really helps with the depression that I had. It really, really helps it. Like for example, someone told a story where someone went to an island and there was like these black sand. If you take this black sand home, you're gonna get bad luck forever. So my friend, when he was telling me the story, his mom took some black sand, and when he went back home, so many bad things happened later. Like their father got sick. It was like it needed surgery, a death in their family member, so many things. But you get the point. So what they did was they returned back the sand and the black sand, and it's not. They're more relieved, and I think that's just superstitious. I think whatever a bad thing happens, you'll always anchor it back to that you taking some black sand. That's like bad luck, stuff like that, like voodoo magic. Me anchoring back on God, I think that's just a powerful thing, and like just opening up to God, just being vulnerable is like the most blissful thing for my mental health that not even meditation could even do. I'm honestly like, maybe it did help meditation. I was clear headed, blissful. But as when my work got more stressful, it was just harder to like sit down and stay still. And so like, yeah, just talking to someone, a higher being, I feel like that made it better. Telling them my goals, what I actually want anybody to look out for. Please make things easier. Please help me get my anime physique. Like, that's as funny and corny as it is. Our last video at the time of this recording is my belly fat progression, and it improved. Like sometimes you have a mindset where you just follow, and then all of a sudden, okay, this didn't work, but then now you unlock this new mindset. Sometimes God can give you a mindset. Sometimes when, for let's say atheists or some people who are agnostic, meaning like they want proof of God. Like God has nothing to prove. God is there. It's all about like sometimes blessing you a mindset. Most people will be like, oh no, I thought of that on my own. Sometimes God could give you that, may help you give that mindset or what that thought that was so important that changed everything. Just a little gift of that. Little gifts. Like I just think about God. Bad stuff. Sometimes I get mad at God because I mean, there's someone that I have to be mad at, but I still like say forgive me, whatever it is. For sure, I think about it a lot. I think about God a lot more, and I'm glad I made this video, which is so different. Still gonna continue anime physique videos and anime videos, but yeah, this is probably one of my favorite recordings I ever did. I didn't even script that much. I mean most of my script from this video is from ChatGPT going through all this stuff in the screenshots. But I think I was able to speak from heart most of the time. And yeah, there's many times where I don't feel like praying. I'm just like work, bad day, getting rejected from jobs. This is back then, and now like I said, I'm unemployed, but like me getting stressed out of now no one in a company calling me back, getting rejected, like these rejections piling up just does something to your mental, and thus like not earning money, and meanwhile everyone else is earning a living, and I'm like 30 and not almost 30 and just no income. So like my praying has been affected a lot, and I still do it, even though like it's not as good. Like suppose if I'm having a great day, then yeah, I'll pray. My prayers will be a lot more better. I'll start talking to God a lot more when I'm done praying compared to a bad day where it's more rushed. I still do my best to stay present, but I'm not present that much, but still doing the action. And my prayer, I just, get it over with and just get on with my life. But I'm sure God is just happy enough that I took the action even though I was at my worst. And I hope like this mindset, I'm able to like stay more present, more better, even at my worst. All right, so long video. Thanks for listening, guys. Friendly Duck out. See ya. Wow, this is probably my longest recorded voiceover.